Transformation is a common question in all boards, and we have 4 types of transformation. I put them in the word retro. The word retro, just to remind you with what is transformation. Transformation may be rotation, maybe enlargement, maybe translation, and the last kind, reflection. Let's see one by one how we can. If you write the word this, if it's wrong, how do we know is it rotation or enlargement or translation or reflection? How we know this? If you write this word, you take 1 mark from the question. Number 1, rotation. And the rotation here, it's simply if we have an x-axis and the y-axis, and we have any shape like this, and he asks you to describe it as single transformation. So we take this shape and we have to say the degree. It's maybe clockwise 90 degree, it's maybe 180, it's maybe 270, okay, or anti-clockwise, or it's maybe clockwise or anti-clockwise. So the second mark he put you here that you have to answer, it is rotation. Okay, take the 1 mark. The second mark here you have to say it here. Number 2, is it 90 degree, the degree, you have to say the degree. And if it's clockwise, or anti-clockwise. So you have the second mark here, is it clockwise or anti-clockwise? The last mark, after we rotate this, so if we take this triangle, okay, and we say that is here, we have been rotated here, for example, 90 degree, and it has been rotating like this, like 90 degree here, anti-clockwise, 90 degree anti-clockwise, or 270 clockwise, the same. Okay, so we have been translating this. So around which point we have to know it. So the third part you have to know it around the third mark here, around the point, and you have to say which point here you have around it. Is around the origin, maybe around the origin, or what. And that is the first part. The second part from here, you have to know it. We say retr, so the enlargement. The enlargement here is the most easiest one that you see it, because the shape change. It is the only one. So you know rotation from the flipping. The shape is flipped. But here in the enlargement here, the enlargement, the shape has been changed, its size has been changed. And also in enlargement we have to say 3 things. Number one, it has been enlarged. Number 2, maybe it's become bigger or smaller, remember. Number 2, you have to say around which scale factor. We have something called scale factor. And this SF, or the scale factor, maybe half, maybe by scale factor half, or by scale factor 2, or by scale factor half. If it's increase, if the size increase, so it has been number, a whole number. So it may be 2, maybe 3, whatever is. If it's decreased, if the shape decreased, so we see that it is become half here. So it become half or third or whatever. So number one, we take the first mark for the enlargement. The second mark for the scale factor. How about the third mark? The third mark, around which point? We have to know around which point has been rotated or has been enlarged. Around the point. And all this we're going to explain it clearly. But I just give you the hint how to answer this question around the point. Okay, so here we say around which point it has been rotated. That is the second from the retro, okay? The third from the retro here, we say rotation, enlargement, and the T is for translation. And the easiest one is the translation, and it has only two parts. It has been translated, and at which vector? And this vector must have x and y. He don't write the x and y like this. He wrote it up and down, and we call it a vector. So x and y. If it have a positive sign, so the x-axis moving to the right or to the left. The x-axis is moving to the right or to the left. So if it has positive, so it's moving to the right. If it's negative, it's moving to the left. How about if it's here is negative? If it's here negative, it's moving down vertically. And if it's positive, it's moving up. Okay, and that is the easiest one, the translation, because it's clear for you, and we are going to see the questions now. The third part from the rotation, enlargement, translation, or reflection. Third part is reflection. As for reflection here, it has been reflected, okay? Like this question, this is a reflection question, and it's like a mirror, and also has only two parts. The first one is reflected, and the second one reflected on which line? On the x-axis, on the y-axis, on y equal -1, on x equal 3. What is the reflected line? So the second thing in the reflection here is the reflected line. And let's see the questions in the past papers. So in the past papers, there's questions here. It say that is, if we have here let's see this question on the grid here, triangle A is reflected to B. So this triangle has been reflected, A have been reflected to B. And what he want here on the grid, draw the middle line. He wants you to draw the middle line. How we draw the middle line? It must be exactly the same. So we move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the midpoint here is the reflected line. The midpoint is the reflected line. So it would be here, the M. Here, I ask you to mark it M. So here M, yes, it will be exactly here. This will be M, and M here will be equal to, he asked you to draw it, but anyway, the M here will be equal -1.5. -1.5. Okay. And in this question on the grid above, rotate it 90 degrees around the origin. And for your hint, on rotation 90 degrees anti-clockwise, we have x and y. We change the x and y places and put the negative here, and this will be the same. For example, here the point is 2 and 0.2 and 1. 2 on the x-axis and 1 on the y-axis. So we make it negative 1 and 2. Okay, let's make a schedule for this. Let's make a schedule for this. I will take all the points here, the x and the y points here, and I'm gonna write them there here. So we say here the first point is 2x1y, 4x1y, 5x3y, and the third one 2x and 3y. And now I'm gonna to write the new numbers here. So I make a simple list also. Here we say x and y. So here we say, that is, we flip. So we make 1, 2. Write them. I'm just flipping, okay? I'm changing. So I write 1 and 2, 1 and 4, 3 and 5, and 3 and 2. And put negatives in the x because it's anti-clockwise. It's anti-clockwise. If it's clockwise, we put negatives here, but it's anti-clockwise. Okay? And we don't put the negative in the x. We will see the questions here. So we just flip the x and y and put negative in the x. Let's mark here negative 1 and 2, negative 1 and 2, negative 1 and 4, negative 1 and 4, negative 3 and 5, negative 3 and 5, and negative 3 and 2, negative 3 and 2. Then we're going to join them all here like this. So negative 1 and 2, this one, sorry, it's negative 1 and 2, this one is negative 1 and 2, negative 1 and 2, negative 1 and 4 here, negative 1 and 4, yup, that is negative 1 and 4. Yes, negative 3 and 5, and negative 3 and 2. Okay, then we're going to join them all. And that's a way. Another way, that is a flipping way. Another way, you can draw it on the translation paper, on your transparent paper, sorry, and you just draw this like this. You draw it like this, and I will try to show it to you. And you are going to flip it 90-degree anti-clockwise. You are going to flip it anti-clockwise and put your pen here on the organ, because he asked you this will be on the organ. So we flip it like this, so it will, you have to mark it here exactly. And just to make sure, for sure, you have to know that is the x and y, flip it with negative y and x, and that is will be the new coordinate for the anti-clockwise 90-degree. And for the clockwise 90-degree, it will be the y positive and negative x, and that's for your info. Okay, and let's see another question and another type of transformation here. Here he asks you in this question to describe fully the single transformation, and this is a common question in everywhere. The single transformation here, it has been rotation, and it has been rotated by 90-degree around the origin. And how we know this? If you see here the points, it is 2 and 5. This point is 2 and 5. If you flip it here, it must be 5 and negative 2. So here, if you flip it here, it's a 90-degree. Yes, it must be negative 5 and here. If you draw it around the origin here, so it must be 5 and negative 5 and 2 here. So here. And here it is negative y and negative x. So it was x and y. We flip them and make negative y, negative x, and that is a rotation by a 180 degrees. So it will be the first mark, it will be for rotation, 180 degree the second mark, and around the origin the third mark, around the origin. And that is a question for the Edexcel past papers, foundation Edexcel. Okay, foundation curriculum, not the OL. Okay, and for this question here, he gave you that is Steve have been six-sided. No. Reflect this on y equal 1. When y equal 1, it was horizontal line because we cut the y at the 1. We cut the y at number 1 and we just move the same. So if you move here 1, we move here 1 and mark it as it is, and then we see how many movement, 1, 2, 3, 4. How many movement to the reflected line? And that is our reflected line. So we move vertically 90 degree on the reflected line. Vertically 90 degree on the reflected line. Okay, vertically 90 degree on the reflected line. So here we have 4, and we take this 4 and mark our point here. So we say that is the second mark, and then we move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then we move the 5 marks here from the reflected line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we move here the 5 marks, and we started to join all the points together, and now it's reflected. Don't erase anything after your reflection, because if you make anything wrong, he may take from your reflection part and give you marks. Okay, so that is reflected, which is the easiest one. And for this one, he asks you for the area of P. He give you the triangle P drawn on centimeter grid and work out the area of P. Okay, if you want to make it the area of P, we have to get the height multiplied by the base, half base height. So the height here, it will 3 equal to 3 multiplying by, here from -1 to 3, it is multiplying by 4, then half base height. So it's here will be equal to 6. So it would be 6 units. Okay, and he says centimeters, so it would be 6 centimeters squared, and we write it here, 6 centimeters squared. And for the triangle E is an enlargement of P by the origin by scale factor 2 on the grid. Draw E. So first of all, when we enlarge, I'm waiting for this question. I need to enlarge this P by scale factor 2. First of all, I just join all the points with the origin, because it is the reflected, because it is the scale around the point. That is the around point. So we have to join all the points with the origin. I like to make it with different colors just to clarify it for you. Here, all the point, join it with the origin, exactly with the origin. Okay. And for the last one, it will be on the y-axis. The enlargement must be in between. How it can be in between? Let's see this line, for example. I'll explain it for you. So if this line is between the purple line and the pink line, this line is between the purple and the pink. So the enlargement must be in between the purple and the pink, double the sides, because we have to multiply it by 2. So we take our ruler and measure this line. Okay. And we are going to take it and we are going to put it in between these two lines, the purple and this pink line. Okay, so it must be in between, so it's maybe here. I'm just doubling the space. I'm just doubling the here. I'm doubling the sides. So I'm taking here every point and enlarge it like this by doubling its sides. It must be exactly the same side. So they are must be exactly the same side. So here we just double like this. Okay, and for the other sides we are going to do the same. I'm gonna choose this one. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4, so it must be 8. In between these two lines, in between this blue and yellow one, this blue and yellow one. Okay, this blue and the yellow one, because the green is in between the blue and the yellow. So no need to place it here because we have 8. So here we have to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not here, it may be 1. Yeah, exactly here. So this green line will be enlarged like this. So if we count here the space, it must be 8 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this must be in between the yellow and the purple line. Okay, the last one we can join it and we can measure it by the ruler, and it must be double the place. And I will show it to you. So this line is in between this line, and draw it again. This line is in between the yellow and between the yellow and the pink one here, between the yellow and the pink. And just move it a little bit. Get at this. Just we need to make it between the yellow and the pink, exactly like this. It must be in between the yellow and the pink. This line, this one, and the yellow one, because it must be in between it. That is the board of it. We don't have to move out. Okay, and the last one here must be like this. And we can clarify here. Is it make here 2 from it? Here we can make it like 1. Start it from here. And exactly get that. It's hard to explain this lesson online, but I'm sure that you get it, the main basics from it. So it will be exactly like this. Okay, and after we finish, we can check our answers here from exactly here. You can see the answers here, the MS here, and this is question number 4. So we have these point 30 and we have the point 30 and 3 negative 3, 30 and 3 negative 3. Yeah, so we have this point 30 and 3 negative 3. This is question number 5. Sorry, notice it must be 6 2 and 0 negative 4. Normally 6 2 and 0 and negative 4, exactly like this as we make it. Yes, that is question, not this one, nope, not this one, this one, and we can check our answers here. 6 2 and negative 1 and 1 and negative 1 1 here, negative 1 and 1 here. So we can check our answers here. So that's a point, another point, and the third point is like this. So we're going to move here. So here it would be 6 and 2 and negative 2 and 2 here. Negative 1 and 2, and the last one here, it must be joined like this. Yep, so that is the final shape here of the triangle. It would be enlarged like this. Negative 1 2 6 and 2, 6 and 2, and the last point will be 0 and negative 4, and it will be enlarged like this. Okay, and here in this question on the grid, reflection and reflected x equal to 1 and x equal to 1 actually is a vertical line, and from the easiest way to reflect is just to get here 1 2 3 4 vertical line here on the reflected line, and we move another 4 1 2 3 4 the mark x, then started to draw the shape here 1 2, and here we move also 1 2 and reflect it here exactly. Then we merge it like this, and that is the reflection here, and the reflected is from the easiest part. Here he asks you to draw it similar, not congruent and not congruent. And for your info, the similar must be, we have angles, and we have sides. In the similar, they must have the same angle, same size. In the similar, they must have the same angle but not the same side. In the congruent, they have the same angle and the same side. He don't need it a congruent, he just needed a similar, so we need just to change the size of it. As it is not very big grid, so we can move halfway. So if you have here 1 2 3, so we can move 1.5, half of 3, and here we can move half square, then half like this. Then instead of moving 3, we just move 1.5. I'm just trying to make it accurate. 1.5. Then we move diagonally again, diagonally half, then we join it like this. So that is similar to it, but it is not the same sides. It's not the same sides, but they are the same angles, but they are not the same side. Okay, and as here he asks you to describe the Fourier transformation here. As we see, has been translated. It has been translated. It's not a mirror, because the mirror make it like a mirror shape. But that has been translated. How we can know it? We can move here. He said from S to T. So number 1 from the mark, it has been translated by the vector, and we are going to say the vector now. What is the vector here? We have to move 1 2 3 4. So for the x-axis we move to the right, so we write 4 with positive. We write 4 with positive. And for the y-axis we move 1 down, so we write it as -1 in the y. As we said, we write it x and y vertically like this. I wish you get all the transformation, the retr part, because it is mostly common in all boards, this retr part. So we have we have rotation. Again, the transformation have 4 main parts. We have rotation, we have enlargement, and we have translation and reflection, and we give examples for the all. Solve the pages. If you have any questions, or send it to me. If you need the book here, you can find it with the mark scheme. Send it to me. I'll immediately send this book for you.